Well, thanks for still staying with us on the very last day of the year. It's Thursday, the 31st of December, 2020, in the year of our Lord. We hope that you're happy at least to be alive and witnessing this last day in the year 2020. Gifty and myself will be going through the online portals. We'll start from home, myjoyonline.com. We'll do the graphic online and then the other portals as well. Gifty,
I wanted to talk about happiness.
Yes.
Talking about happiness. Sometimes you may not find the things that you wanted to see to make you happy, but you have to be at peace with yourself. I think that this is a very personal story that I'm sharing. Be at peace with yourself. That's how you find happiness. All right, let's jump on to myjoyonline.com before Mama V analyzes my speech. All right.
I will, by the way.
There is John Dramani Mahama, the presidential candidate for the opposition NDC. Last night, he spoke at 8 p.m. Now, what's he saying? No one won. No one won. Order a second round. Mahama petitions Supreme Court. That story comes with a picture of the former president. We've told you a lot about it. So you can find the full text at myjoyonline.com over there.
Yeah.
And then you can do the video if you want. That's why they playback. Mahama addresses nation after filing petition.
There is a sticking point, though. I think there are many pointers for me in that speech. Here's one that I just directly want to read.
Okay.
He said, some people have asked me what I hope to gain by challenging the results of this election. Let me tell you, I want perhaps the very same thing that my opponent wanted when in 2012 he challenged the results of that election. I want the removal of doubts. I want for all of us to know that our election should be free, fair, and safe, and that we do not have to settle for a process that leaves us confused and with more questions than answers. So I guess for persons who are still asking questions,
why they're going to court.
Yeah,
he's answered it.
He settled it in that speech following the petition yesterday.
And we'll be playing the video for you to, listen to it yourself, just in case you missed it. But yesterday, something very sad happened again regarding the protest. We're talking about in the Volta region. There was a protest there that turned violent, and they had to call in the military to disperse the crowd. So NDC protesters prevented from entering Hohoi. They wanted to present a petition to the Electoral Commission in Hohoi, and they were prevented. We've given you that story as well in our news. And also, there is a story: Supreme Court sets January 4 to hear case seeking to set aside a Meu injunction. So those are the stories at myjoyonline.com. Bishop Ajanasari meets Baumia and Mahama. A story is also there. And Council of States presents 2016 to 2020 report to Ekufuado. Essentially, it includes advice, and the president is not obliged to take that advice. He can just decide what he wants to do with it. Well, graphic online, Mami.
Okay, I want the same thing Nanadu wanted in 2012 election petitions.
Looks like the punchline for a lot of people.
Yeah, the bit that I read is what the graphic has also quoted and headlined. I know how to concede, but Mahama tells why he's challenging election results. That's also contained in that speech. I'm humbled. Majority of Ghanaians renewed my mandate. That's according to President Ekufuado. Mahama asks Supreme Court to annul declaration of Ekufuado as president-elect. That's in that petition. And then there are also calls for the chief of staff to be maintained in the next administration. Yesterday there was a cabinet meeting, right? And I was listening to Elton, who was giving a bit of details, and said one of the things the president did to his appointees at the cabinet meeting was to thank them for their service.
Okay.
In this administration that's going to end early next week, or first week of January.
Yeah, first week. Yeah.
Okay, and then apparently they will send them letters, of appreciation. And if after the letter, the thank you letter, if you don't hear your name in the media, then that's it for you.
Well, I won't say it's an automatic thing. You never know. If you don't hear your name, keep praying. I believe in prayer.
There are also some persons who strongly believe that we won't see that many ministers as we've seen in this current administration.
A lot of people have said that we don't need that. And I'm sure that Mr. President has heard that also. City Newsroom.
Yep.
Loss of lives during polls show we are moving backwards. That's where the part that they highlighted from Mr. Mahama's speech yesterday, and also more of those stories. My election petition not born out of a desire for power. Mahama and Council of State congratulates Akufo-Addo on election victory. In the election petition, Mahama asks court to order EC to conduct second election. Also, Mahama files petition at Supreme Court to challenge the 2020 presidential election results. So those are some of the stories on CT Newsroom Online. Well, let's move on to BBC. BBC, Ethiopia is still in the news. But well, we're told that the symbol of integration in Ethiopian symbol of integration in Italy has been killed. Well, what happened to her? She fled Ethiopia during the rule of the former regime and has been killed on her farm. It'll be interesting to take a look at that particular story if you're interested in international news, by the way. But well, in Nigeria, there is a search for kidnapped Nigerian bishop. Okay, well, can we take a look at that?
He still hasn't been found.
Yeah.
He was kidnapped with his wife, I remember. It's the same story.
Well, let's click on that story, take a look at what the details are. And also some other stories out there. We'll come back to it. Okay. Well, we're hoping to see the Nigerian story, but yeah, there it is.
Okay, so whilst we get...
Okay, all right. So, yeah, there it is. The story. Police in Nigeria have reportedly deployed special teams in their search for Catholic Bishop Moses Chikwe, who was kidnapped by armed men on Sunday in Owerri, the capital of Imo State in the east of the country. Local media reports say his car and investments were abandoned near the Assumpta Cathedral. Vatican Radio said that the priests had become kidnapped targets.
So this is different from the other one.
Yeah, it looks like it's really sad.
That was a pastor and the wife.
Yeah. I pray that they are found. I pray that the captors, have a change of heart as we end the year, and they'll just release him. Or if it's ransom they're seeking, that, we find a way around it. All right, notable African deaths of 2020.
Yeah.
From jazz legends to football heroes. So BBC puts together a list of those people.
10 of those.
Yeah, interesting. So maybe we can look at the names. No?
I think the first one I remember, Papa Diop.
Papa Diop.
Yeah.
42. He's a Senegalese footballer. He died in November after a long illness. Feted for his performance in 2002 World Cup, where he scored the team's winning goal against France, and wants to see a Senegal. Okay. All right, let's look at the next person. In science, Dita Ramji, 63, world-renowned Ugandan-born South African scientist, died of COVID-19.
Yeah, and this is a person, I think I remember at the time when the death came, I went to read on
about her.
And she had done a lot of research in HIV/AIDS.
Oh.
And to think that it was a pandemic, another virus
yes,
that took her life. That was really, really sad.
Yeah, it was indeed. It was indeed. All right, so you can go on the website, take a look at those. Well, let's see the next one. Oh, Manu Dibando, she also died from COVID-19. I think it was one of the earliest people to die. He was 86 at least, so he lived his life. The Cameroonian saxophonist died in March, and I love people who play saxophone. It's so romantic. He died during the COVID-19 when it first started. Richard Maponya, 99, he lived his life almost 100. God blessed him enough. The entrepreneur died in January. He was known as the father of black retail in South Africa, defying apartheid restriction to build up his business empire. I mean, these are people that you can individually read about to inspire you.
Yeah.
Hawa Abdi, 73, Somali doctor, human rights activist, also died, was known as the Mother Teresa of Somalia. Okay, all right. So we can call it a wrap after this. Daniel Arap Moy, 95. Yeah, I mean, they've all lived their lives.
That's a very famous name. You probably would have heard it growing up in the news.
Yeah.
Daniel
Well,
Arap Moy.
May God keep their souls as we move on to 2021. Mama V, CNN for you.
Yeah, here we go. Trump cutting short vacation ahead of certification votes. And it says the U.S. president is expected to return to Washington ahead of a Republican plan to disrupt certification of Biden's win. They are still on this issue.
Donald Trump looks serious about his
so the
position.
GOP senator to delay affirming Biden's victory by forcing votes on electoral college results. So the courts didn't work for them.
Yeah, I mean, he's exploring his options. He's exploring his options. So, yeah.
All right. Neither human rights concerns nor U.S. disapproval could stop the EU-China trade deal. Europe strikes major investment deal with China despite U.S. concerns. And then China approves Sinopharm COVID-19 vaccine. UK will be able to get out of this by the spring, minister says. It has to do with COVID. US hits record for daily COVID-19 deaths. So countries setting record not for a good reason, but all because of COVID-19. US flies B-52 bombers to Middle East.
Wow.
Okay, so Trump was briefed that China sought to pay non-state actors to attack US forces. Girlfriend of Nashville bomber told police in 2019 he was building explosives in an RV.
And what did the police do about it? That's always the question that comes up when people blow the whistle like this. They're sometimes not even taken seriously. Okay.
True. All right, so there are plenty stories related to the U.S. if you're interested in the U.S. politics and the other issues, I guess. You can go to their website as well. There's one story reported by the BBC or reported on the BBC that I was excited about. Are you into Formula One?
No, not really. Although, I mean, I am always amazed at how people can do that sport. But I don't think I'll do it. Well, what's up?
So Lewis Hamilton is that guy who is a world champion. He sets records now. And I am fascinated by the way they describe him. So depending on how well he's doing, he's either the British... the British racer, or they introduce him as a black British whatever. Oh, wow. But the good news is he's been knighted by the Queen.
Oh, so the British Formula One driver has been knighted.
Exactly.
By Her Majesty.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, right. Congratulations to him wherever he is. Al Jazeera, my favorite.
Portal?
International
portal. Yeah.
So how 2020 left China diplomatically. It looks like an analytical piece that tells you what China looked like by the end of 2020 diplomatically. I think it's a story a feature you'd want to take your time and read. And Trump, McConnell division grows as Senate poised to override veto. At least 26 killed, dozens wounded in Yemen airport attack. UK MPs approve EU trade agreement, paving way for orderly Brexit. Also, Vietnamese pick up the pieces after 2020's relentless storms, and some other stories out there. There are reports about the COVID-19, U.S. bombers flying over the Gulf amid tensions with Iran. The fear is that this could spark another, not just the tension, but it probably would, let me not be the one who said it. Anyway, so like Mama V said, if you're interested in the U.S. politics, get to Al Jazeera, take a look at the stories there. We've given you the highlights. We'll move on from there.
Yep. Okay. Well, I guess this is where we probably have to wrap up, but maybe, Gifty, just before because it's the last day, any headline that caught your attention this year? Maybe that's one of the questions we should be putting out to our viewers. Any headline? And I know when we begin to ask this kind of question in 2020, you hear COVID-19, 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 kind of like crowds every other thing that has happened from the beginning of the year.
It does. COVID-19 is a very strong story. It's a very, it's a story that has so many angles, so many tentacles, like it spreads across every fabric of
you
our
engaged
society.
a doctor yesterday on Strong and Sassy on Joy FM, and she was telling you a very personal story.
Yes, she did. She's one of the doctors at the UGMC, and she was telling us how people were dying, and she indicated that there are times that even now that she sleeps and she has nightmares, she will wake. She said there was this particular man who died, and she dreamt that the man was calling out to her and saying, "Doctor, I'm dying. Doctor, I'm dying. What are you doing to help me?" And it was very emotional. And he talks about how sometimes she does like 12 hours or sometimes 24 hours shifts and she gets home and she's drained. And sometimes her mom has to, carry her from the door into the house. And, so we gave some shout outs to all mothers and wives and sisters, whoever is helping or supporting people at the front lines. But to know that to see someone die, knowing that there is something you could have done to help them, and maybe you lack the resources or you just couldn't save them and they die. And then you end up seeing them in your dreams. I think that is very traumatic.
That bit about the person who has passed on, who is appearing in your dreams, who is calling on you as a doctor and asking you,
what are you doing to save
Charlie,
me?
I
think that we've celebrated the health workers, but we can do more. We can do more. I mean, to live with seeing people die every day. See, and she was talking about COVID-19. She said she was at the ICU at Kolebu before COVID-19, and then she came to UGMC. And she has seen people dying. But with COVID, the deaths were back to back, back to back. Some of the people, they come and they're going to die. They themselves know they're going to die. Sometimes she was saying that I'm way below the chain. So for the doctor, the big men, the seniors who have to make their decision, who gets to be on the ventilator, who should we pay more attention to, who is dying, who can we just let go?
Imagine what they're going through.
It's not easy. So the doctors, I think COVID-19 remains our biggest story in 2020. And for the doctors, the nurses, everybody who has been through this, you're going to live with the trauma. So we will sit here and talk about it all day. But you are the ones living with the trauma. So our heart goes out to you. And I'm sending you all a big hug if it means anything at all.
So those who drive the ambulances, the first point of call, those who are called the first time, who see these patients who are not necessarily doctors, but who also help her. Listen, we will talk a lot more about the big headlines in 2020 a bit later on here on our show. We'll also bring you a playback of John Dramani Mahama's address yesterday, and then we'll be speaking to one of his legal team members on the show. We'll also be talking to a political scientist as we understand the speech again and where we are with this whole petition now to the Supreme Court. We've got sports coming up right after this. We'll come back and dig into our issues. Your comments are still welcome, so keep sending them through.